All right, that's the theme music. This is episode 102. It's the second episode of the Card Diary by Hobby S. Thompson, season 3. Thank you for tuning in. I am cross streaming this on YouTube, but I am not live. I do have, I actually have very little notes in front of me. I have a title, and it's going to be, I think, I think it'll be called episode 102, Fire and Ice and Everything Nice. The other title I was contemplating was A Song of Fire and Ice. And I'm not a big George, what is it called? George, I was gonna say Tolkien, George R. Martin fan. I really enjoyed Game of Thrones. I didn't read the books. I really enjoyed. I think like a lot of people, like they didn't like the last season of the HBO show. I really I liked, yeah, I mean it wasn't the best one. But I feel like a lot of great shows, kind of like The Wire, it's almost like you almost don't want it to end, and then there's so much expectation, and maybe not for The Wire because it wasn't like universally loved until after the critics after its run, when it was, I think, critically acclaimed, but the public didn't really like it until it had its like posthumous run. But I the reason I wanted to pick this title is, oh, and also, by the way, I think one of the best brand collaborations that they did with a brand, the HBO show Game of Thrones, was I think Johnny Walker. Because they have like Johnny Walker Black and all that. So they had Johnny Walker White Walker, which just again just the not alliteration, but rolling off the tongue. Johnny Walker, White Walker, and then it was almost like I forget what it like tasted like, but they have like white, gold, red, blue, all that stuff, and you were supposed to like chill it in your freezer. So I didn't collect that bottle, but I definitely I enjoyed it, like almost like there's some people who are like, I don't want to collect good wine. I want to like drink it and join it with friends. So anyway, I don't know. There's just kind of thoughts that ran through my head. But not a big keep wanting to say Tolkien. Not a big George R. Martin fan, but he did write Song of Fire and Dance. Song of Fire and Ice. But I I I like the idea of fire and ice and everything nice. It must be because of the rhyming and the everything nice at the end. So I thought about that as the main title, and I googled it because a lot of things I just want to verify. Is there some bad meaning to this? Because you could get canceled for anything nowadays, and it's just the slogan for Iceland. Makes sense because they have a lot of ice, hence the name, and then I guess they have volcanoes. I don't know, but and there's some really nice stuff there. And so Fire and Ice and Everything Nice is like Iceland's official, I don't know, like tourism slogan. And I really liked, so I'm going to talk about those three things in this podcast episode. Before I do want to say thank you to the guests. I have that on my notes. Thank you to the guests for the last episode 101, which was the first episode of season 3. It was with Ryan from Gemrate, and it was with Neo from Neo Cards and Comics. As I just can't believe you went 3 hours. Like, part of me does believe it, but and again, like at the 30-minute, 1 hour mark, I'm like, wow, time is flying by. By the end, I definitely was tired, and I definitely was like, I hope I don't say anything too bad or crazy. I don't know if I completely succeeded on that, but my guests were awesome. Neo cross streamed it or live streamed it on his channel, which was very, very nice of him. He didn't have to do that. I didn't ask him. I didn't even know that was possible, but he said, yeah, sure. We do this all the time with when he gets on with uh, blocking the names, Steve, Dustin, and Michael. Off-Centered, the weekly podcast live that I try to consume a lot of content. I'm actually recording this when I think what is it? Sports Card Radio is doing their like one of their lives, and I've been on that show before, just kind of briefly talk about some things. And I just feel like I consume as much hobby content that I can, but I'm only one person, kind of like you, which is why I really appreciate you listening to this. And I it's kind of hard to like the hobby is an escape, right? Like it is. It's supposed to be. It's you got all this stuff going around in the world, and when we look at the cards, or we're making a deal for the cards, or we're consuming hobby content, or we're consuming content on Instagram, social media, whatever, like you're supposed to not think about that stuff. But of course, if you have like the people who are posting stuff on social media are humans, and they're going through things. And so when you go through your Instagram feed, if you're going through this, the if you're going through Instagram soon around the time when I record this and publish this, which is the evening of January 10th. No, oh my gosh, January 9th. Now it's past midnight. Jeez. So I'm recording this the evening of January 9th, and it's already January 10th according to my clock here. I should probably be going to sleep, but the reason I currently am not asleep is because I've been spending probably like the last 2 hours trying to make a deal for a card. Not just one card, but and one person, but like multiple cards with multiple people on Instagram, people that I really like and I've met before, and I have asked for vouchers in the past. Some of them I've made deals with, some of them I haven't. But basically, the I'll just talk about this one card because I put it up on my Instagram stories, which will disappear by the time this comes out, I think. But it's a second year LeBron, 2004, 2005, Topps Chrome. It is a not numbered refractor. So it's a second year, not numbered refractor. It has a white border. And I do have great. Now I can't remember that year. But I have another LeBron James white refractor that's numbered out of 99. That's a PSA 9. The copy that I've been trying to see if I can get is a PSA 10, and I am buying it from someone who did grade it. I'm not going to get into all the details information, but basically, because it'd be crazy for me to talk about a specific card on a card hobby podcast. But yeah, so this card basically, I won't get into all the numbers, but I've been like thinking about it. I've been like trying, make an Instagram audio call to see if we can kind of like talk it out. And I feel like we're really close, but there's like so many good things that are going for the card, and so many like things where I'm like having hesitations. The biggest hesitation I'm having is I don't dabble in the space of like, this card. I think valuation is like around $2,000. Like I don't have multiple many $2,000 cards, and I don't flex them. I don't show them around. I don't like. I mean, yeah, the one LeBron that I was just talking about. I'm trying to look up what year it is in my PSA collections thing here, but it is. Oh, it's of course it is. I thought it was 2008, 2009. It's not. It's 2007, 2008. But it is. There are just some players where the card companies know to make sure that their poses are like perfect and awesome. I think currently it's Victor Wembanyama, where they want to make sure every card of his they get a great pose or something that looks just very striking or different. Topps Chrome, they have him doing the prom pose. The Prism one, they have him with the curtains in the background in some high school auditorium. But like, they people just know that these are the cards that people are going to really collect heavily. And so for every year of LeBron cards, like he just has just amazing poses. I mean, you could just pick them, some people are just incredibly, photogenic and easy to capture beautiful photos of and all that, acrobatic dunks and all that. But I do miss just really awesome photography of these cards too, but that's another story for another day. Um, I would really like to see if I could pick this card up. And I don't know. I don't it's not a flip. It's not a great to flip. It's already PSA 10. But the only reason I feel like I can do it is because I feel like I have a bunch of cards that I'm finally ready and willing to just kind of like liquidate or get rid of. I really want 2025, and this is not a hobby resolutions podcast episode, but there's a lot more cards that I'm just willing to finally just say, okay, I'm gonna let go of them. And I have some ideas, and I'll talk about them throughout this year in this podcast. Again, this is episode 102. I don't know how or when I'm going to get to those plans and sharing them out, but I'm ready. I'm ready. And it's not that I'm not going to be a collector anymore. It's just more of like as a collector, I feel like my prices of my cards have just been so high, and some people have commented or criticized, a very small number, but it's like, yeah, that's the value in which I'm willing to let go of a card, and it's higher than others, but those are the prices. And it's not because I'm trying to be a super greedy capitalist. It's more of like there it's hard. Like I have like intrinsic values of certain cards. There almost every card I can remember where I picked it up, who I had transaction with, how much I paid. And I know it's really good, especially for flippers, to like have like these, the cost bases, spreadsheets, and way to track and all that. And I guess some people don't want to track, so they don't have to report things accurately. But I know that, like, it's almost like eating a really good meal. It's I just, like, my stomach remembers it, my brain remembers it. I remember who that meal was with. That's kind of like a transaction with like a hobby friend. So maybe it's something I'll talk about later. I'm really 50-50 on getting the card. It's it's not even the price. It's more like I'm worried about the card getting to me like without any issues. Like people have talked about whether you insure packages or not, and then there's an added cost, which I'm about to get to about the fire in the fire and ice. So maybe that's a good transition. But um I don't dabble in cards like that. I just don't. I want to. It's awesome to have multiple, it'd be great to be like one of these big time hobbyists with these big time cards, big boy cards, these Jordan autos. And there's some accounts where I'm just like, they nothing against them. It's just like I get so much um FOMO or envy that I have unfollowed some accounts just because I'm like, I just don't want to see it on my feed. I don't want to get so wrapped up and get envious. And they say comparison is the thief of joy. So I don't want to have that my joy taken away by comparing. So um but those are the cards that get a lot of traction and love from a lot of people on Instagram. To me, I'm just like, what do these cards mean to the people? And some of them might have great stories, they just don't share them. And some people, I think, uh, are willing to share the stories. And I would love in 2025 if my content just did do a better job of storytelling in Instagram, social media, and like YouTube and podcasts, of course, because it's long form. But I um I don't know. I want 2025, and again, this is not hobby resolutions, but I just want to see some cool cards. I want to own the cool cards. I want to spend time with kind, good people. The cards have to be cool. The people have to be good. The experiences, I want them to be awesome. Like, there are just some great things that I just want to do with a good group of people in the hobby. Because for the most part, the hobby is full of really great people. It's just that there's some bad apples that ruin the bunch. But I feel like I'm slowly understanding, my calibrating my I don't want to say like BS meter, but like I'm calibrating, like I'm trying to figure out like the type of people that I do want to like surround myself with, or interact or transact with, and all that stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about that. But I will say the fire part of fire and ice and everything nice, because I guess I just talked about the everything nice. I just want 2025 to be like nice experiences, nice cards, nice people, all that stuff. Um, you go through Instagram, and if you're at all cognizant of what's going on in the world or in the U.S. in the week of the first 1 or 2 weeks of January of 2025, is you got a lot of destruction and devastation going on in the west coast of the country, specifically in LA. And these images are just I just can't believe it. They're like, people, the movie producers and cinematographers and CGI people, like they get paid to make the sky look the way that they do that it does in these photos and these videos. And there are real people being displaced and their entire lives being upended. Some people, like, I think the number of deaths is really low, but people are losing their houses, their belongings, their things that they can save and rebuy and replenish, and some things that are just invaluable and you can't replace. And um there's some people who are talking about that on social media, and but then they also add, I think one of them was like, but I'll go through insurance and I'll make sure everything's taken care of. And I can only imagine, like, like, it's just so sad to kind of think about, kind of like losing everything, your cards, not just your cards, right, but just like all the belongings. And it definitely makes me think about the thing that I've talked about off on and off on this podcast, about just how short life is and just going for it, and why not just do it, because what's the worst that could happen, like, rejection, or people, like, criticizing you online, but just making it happen. Hold on, I got a cough. I just got done being sick. I can't get sick again. That's like literally impossible. But anyway, um my heart goes out to those folks. I know some people are doing charity stuff, people are sharing links. There's like false alerts coming out from the LA government, city government, and like it's an absolute mess, and I feel so bad. Um but yeah, like, the cards, it's they're so important, and yet they also mean nothing. And I just see this stuff on social media, and you want to just keep it about the cards, and you just want to, like, look at cool cards on your Instagram feed. But you have people who are like thankful and sad, and it's just all the emotions that go through things like that. And then to a much smaller scale, so that's the fire part of this. Oh, before I get to the ice part, I will share something that I've been waiting to share, but I think this is a good time. Uh, I know some people absolutely love it when I say not a sponsor, but I will say it here. Collect Insure. They also go by Collect Insure Services, or CIS. They are not a sponsor of this podcast or any of my content. I have uh had talked with them in the past about potentially doing some sponsored stuff and maybe doing some collaborations. Didn't materialize, and through no fault of either party, just kind of life and just things happening. But I was holding on to sharing, like doing any content or mentioning them, because it's almost like, it's not that, like, oh, I needed to get paid to talk about them, but I wanted it to, like, I wanted it to I wanted the right time for it to come out. But I do have a policy with Collect Insure. I think it's a very adult thing to do, to insure your uh, you know, belongings. There's some things that we're just all of us, right, are required to have. Like, I guess I don't know about every single state and all the laws and internationally, but you're required to have, like, driver's insurance, car insurance. I mean, driver's insurance, car insurance, home insurance, all that stuff, right? Um, I think it's really important, if you can afford it, if this is going to be a business or more than a side hustle, or just a side hustle. There are two policies, or there's many policies, but my understanding of, for cards and trading cards, is that they have like a collector's policy. Collect Insure does, CIS, and they also have like a vendor or dealer policy. So the collector policy is just, you're a collector, you got the cards at your home, you're not transporting them, you're not selling them, you're not flipping them. And that collector's policy can range with, with the, like all insurance, right? You can adjust the deductibles, you can adjust the declared amount, all this and that. And they like any insurance company, they have the um not auditors. Jeez, what am I thinking about? They have the adjusters? No. Oh my gosh. Isn't it NA? I'm really drawing a blank here. They have the actuaries. Oh gosh. It is past midnight. They have the actuaries spit out the numbers, and they know, how they can maintain profitability while also providing coverage and service. So for the vendors, because you travel with your cards, again, like you had, recently there was like the big theft with the Philly card show and like other thefts and other shows and all this stuff. Um, I think it's really just CYA to have insurance if you can have it. And um, I I'm glad to say that I do have not a very expensive big amount of cards and value. I'm working on it. I'm like trying to like I don't like the term level up because I feel like that disrespects like low end of the hobby, but I'm trying to get cooler and nicer cards. But I feel like the insurance is just like a peace of mind. And so again, this is not sponsored content. They are not an affiliate. I don't have use code Denny with Collect Insure. If you do feel compelled to give them a call and say that that could help maybe, drum up some interest on their part more than they have already had. I will say they're definitely one of the, I remember what happened. They were one of the very few companies that actually asked for real, like, analytic information. Like they're like, what's your click-through rate, what's your conversion rate, what's this, what's that. And I won't get into all the details, but they were actually one of the more adult hobby companies, because some of these other ones are like, what's their follower number? Okay, now we'll have some metric, we'll spit out a number and we'll offer that, and then we'll negotiate from there. And it's like follower counts are easily manipulated, like counts are easily manipulated. There's like I thought about making content about this, but there are things you just can't manipulate, such as people when they share your content or when they save your content. But like even there are comment bots. There's like bots, comment bots, follower bots. Like those are stuff that are easily manipulated. And so if there's a hobby company out there who's trying to base a rate for a influencer or a content creator based on numbers that can be easily manipulated, that's kind of like basing a card price comp on shill bidding. Really, that's kind of how it is. Um, so anyway, they were one of the few companies. I actually like that. I almost want to clip that. What I just said. What did I just say? Comp shill followers. Okay, I just wrote a little note to myself. Um, Manipulation. Yeah. See, and that's what we don't like, right? We don't like that in the hobby or outside of the hobby or anything. Just the whole manipulation thing is just ridiculous. So I am not a affiliate or partner or sponsor content with Collect Insure. I am going to probably in the notes of this YouTube and or the podcast notes, I will put the website and the phone number you can call. But if you say that, hey, just so you know, Denny, I watched his content or podcast, and I that's why I found out about you guys. That'd be awesome. So I'm just on their website. It's collectinsure.com. It says, if you want to talk to an agent, they also have like get a quote thing, which all insurance companies generally like to have, because some people just they don't want to talk to someone on the phone and get upsold or anything like that. But it looks like their phone number is 888-837-9537. And it says their hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. So CIS Collectibles Insurance Services. I just feel like in the time when we're talking about theft and fires and ways to lose your collection, it's just I don't know. If you want a peace of mind, this is it, right? I mean, this is what people get insurance for, is just you're hoping you never need to use it, right? That's the main thing. You have the insurance. You don't want to get into a car accident. You don't want, something to happen to your house, but it's like, thank goodness you have insurance just in case something like that happens. So again, my heart goes out to everyone affected in California. And if you're listening to this podcast and you are and it's given you some reprieve or just just a little time out of your day, please reach out and let me know, although I probably just reminded you of things that are like really bad. But and also about Fire and Ice and Everything Nice, if you are a listener in Iceland, my analytics tell me they don't show anyone in Iceland. But let me just make a snap decision here, that I'm on record because I'm recording this. If you are a collector in Iceland, reach out to me on Instagram, Denny_cards, and I will send you something. I'll send you something like, I don't know, something worth shipping to you. I'll ask you what your PC is, and of course, you can't really lie. I mean, sure, you can DM me and lie and say you live in Iceland, but you really live in like Montana, and then you'll be like, yeah, I live in Iceland. Send it to Montana. Like, I'm not gonna send something to Montana. I'm not gonna send something to some get it shipped or ship my cards, or ComC address. I'm not gonna do any of that. I want to ship something to Iceland. If you are listening to this podcast and you're from Iceland, please message me, or make a comment on YouTube and we can figure it out. But I would love to send something to Iceland. I will say, in very light preparation for this episode, I looked up to see if there's any basketball players from Iceland. There are none, at least in the NBA. Um, I looked up, okay, who's who's from Iceland, who's like in the zeitgeist of American pop culture or sports culture. Bjork, yes, in pop culture, but sports culture, it's like there's a bunch of Icelandic soccer or football players, but none of them are like household names. Like, not like I don't even want to say any of these names, and I have them in my phone, but I am going to put my phone away and say I do not want to butcher any of those names. I got to cough again. Hold on. But you know who you are. If you're a soccer player in Iceland, shout out to you. But I'm not gonna butcher your names. But again, Fire and Ice and Everything Nice. I do want to get to the ice part. Again, after talking about the fire and Everything Nice, and what I want for 2025. Um, this is a topic that I haven't really talked about much. It because it has to do with, like, I don't know, like stuff outside the hobby and the family. Like, I do have a young family. I've talked about that in my content. I don't show my kids on camera. I don't talk. I mean, I talk about them on the podcast because that's I'm not sharing anything that's like personally identifiable. Um, but I try not to share too much about that part of things, just because like I will say, like, I'm a youth basketball coach, and like I love coaching them and their friends on their teams. And that's a big part of my like winter, and that's why I there's certain things I just can't do, or certain shows I can't go to and things like that. But I'm just trying to balance out what it's like to be like a content creator who puts his life out there but also tries to keep certain things private. And there's a time maybe I'll talk about why that's even more important, but I think today's just not the day for that. But having said all that, like, we in the Northern Virginia area, the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, got, forget what the total number was, but the forecast was for like 8 to 10 inches, from Sunday over to Monday morning, overnight. And they closed down schools for Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday was like, like, oh my gosh, it's like going back to COVID times, asynchronous learning. And then there's like a 2 hour delay today because I'm recording this January 9th slash evening of the 10th. And then they're talking about there's going to be snow coming again tomorrow and over the weekend. And it's supposed to be our first game. And like, there's just so much snow, and there's no school. and it's driving like this is why there've been some I've tried to do some things for Instagram content, but it's like using old clips or things that I'm just trying to noodle with because I am like these kids like in general have not they've literally spent like 6 hours of school in the last like month because they had like 2+ weeks of like winter break. Then they're supposed the first day they're supposed to go back to school, it's like a snow day, and then another snow day, and then it's like, oh no, instead of giving you a third snow day or having you come to school, we're gonna force you to do something that's gonna give you PTSD as a parent of young kids, which is try to have them learn like through asynchronous learning, like what, like this is like I won't even get into all my feelings about all of that, but it's been a hard week. I've been trying to maintain my sanity. If you're listening to this and you live on the East Coast, you may, and you're a parent of young kids, you may feel the same way. I know that it's such a silly thing to complain about because we have, again, devastation and destruction on the west in LA with the fires, but we all have things that we're going through, and this is been a it's you just know. I don't even have to talk about this anymore. If you don't have kids, if you are a kid, if you're a young person and you don't have a young family, you're like, what's the big deal? Not a big deal. And then yet, if you are in a similar boat as mine, you will be like, I feel for you, man. And hey, look, I feel for you too. Okay. So why do I want to talk about the ice part other than to just complain about just the school systems just shutting down? Okay, 8 to 10 inches is a decent amount, but again, like if you're in Minnesota or Buffalo, it's like 8 to 10 inches is nothing. You go to school the next day, you put the snow, you put the chains on your snow tires, and you just go, and or you trudge through the snow and you walk to school, whatever. But it's where we live. It's the society we live in. So that's all I'll say for now. Um, I Here's the point I wanted to make, which is like so silly. I used to love snow as a kid. I really did. And I feel like kids should, right? I mean, like it's a winter wonderland. It transforms the way your you know everyday neighborhood looks. You get snow. Like when I grew up in Queens, New York, like we didn't have suburbia and like all these single family homes. We had like apartment buildings, but you have like the magical feel. It's cold, and you try to suit up. You play snowball fights, and you try to. In New York, we didn't really do sledding, but the kids here, they want to do sledding. They want to make igloos. You could only really do that if you had like a ton of snow, like blizzard amounts, which I remember. Blizzard of 96. Shout out 1996 New York blizzard. I still remember you. um 2 feet of snow, I think, that year. It was like absolutely insane. But I used to love snow as a kid. Play tackle football. Best tackle football experiences of my life, just playing in the snow. Like I vividly remember all of that. And yet, and yet, as an adult who has responsibilities, and you have to dig out your car, you have to shovel the sidewalk, which again, you're like blessed and fortunate to have a car and a sidewalk. Like I get all that, but you have to dig out of it, and it becomes a chore and a responsibility. And I will very much admit, as someone who, I think the avid listeners know, like I have back issues. I don't like, this is why, like I just, like my back sucks. Like I have fallen on, whether it is black ice or just regular clear white ice, whatever you want to call it. Like I have fallen in ice, I've slipped and fell more than I wish to share, and it sucks. I don't want to say hate, but like yeah, like I hate ice. I do not like snow as an adult. Like the classic, I do not like green eggs and ham, Sam I am. It like I just get like I do get kind of like green egg, like I get grinchy. I get like I love the holiday season. I love Christmas, and I want my kids to have wonderful Christmases, better than the ones I had as a kid and all that stuff. But I think about snow and ice so much differently than I used to as a kid. And I think that's good for kids who, again, you're not supposed to have responsibility. You're supposed to just be a kid. So, what does this all have to do with the hobby? I was thinking about it as I was trying not to fall on the ice the other day, and I was salting the sidewalk, and I was like, like I remember as a kid, I used to love base cards, and I used to love like if like not a lot of people gave me free things, but like these kids who are in the hobby, like there's like actual real kids who like have very small collections, who don't spend a lot of money on the hobby, and if you gave them just some random base cards, they would be thrilled. They would be. They'd be so appreciative. And then you have these other kids in the hobby who are like the little that movie Zootopia. I got a cough again, sorry. And I forget which animal they were, but they had the little suitcases, they had the little suits, and those suitcases in the hobby, it's like little kids with, the size of Zion cases, the size of their heads or more, and they're just walking around and they have like $1,000 cards, tens of thousands of dollars of cards in the case, and they're just like little businessmen. And if you gave that kid or that kind of kid some base cards, they would throw it at your face. They would laugh at you. I mean, I guess they would just be like, "Oh, thanks, but no thanks," or "Oh, yeah, hey, great." They wouldn't be appreciative because they it pales in comparison to what they have in their actual cases of cards. And so I just I don't know, like, the hobby is so big, it's such a big term that it makes me wonder, like, is the hobby for kids? I guess the answer is yes, and it's also no, right? I mean, like, what kids, like real kids, the kids who have, like, allowances, who come from modest families, who, like, just can't afford breaks into flawless and national treasures, but, like, who are these kids, who can? And it's like, maybe I am being envious, but I can't believe that some kid is like, again, I don't know how old you want to call this kid, but like, let's say like some 16-year-old is mowing thousands of lawns to get money to for this collection, or that he traded up like the most epic trade up challenge in the world, going from $1 to like a $10,000 card. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So there's like the part of the hobby where, like, whether it is like, NBA hoops or big league or tops flagship series 1 2 an update, or non-chromium, or like, where the hobby boxes are like, 100 to $200, and the blasters are like, 20 25 bucks. And then you have, I guess, the optic and prisms, that's all the middle end, or like the, the most prevalent or most prominent, or whatever you want to call it. And then you have the high ends, I guess now it's like tops Mercury, but you have the flawless, national treasures, eminence, immaculate, whatever. And I just feel like there is room for everyone, but of course, and this is something I've been thinking about making content for in the future, but it's like social media just shows like these massive big cards where, how else is a kid supposed to feel when they look at these cards and not go, I want that, or I want to level up into that $1,000 card, when I have like, let me see if I can turn my, you know $100 worth of cards and go to the next show and just start cooking other kids or other adults, and just seeing if I can level up. And I don't know, like, I just feel like I used to, and I'm the same way. Like, if some random stranger as a kid gave me base cards, I would be so appreciative. And then as an adult, I'd be like, well, what are you doing? One, like, why are you giving away cards? And two, like, these cards suck because they're base cards, but like, they don't suck, right? Because it's like, it's free and it's a gift, but also like, why am I thumbing my nose at like something that someone random, whether they know me or not, is giving to me? So, but like, it's almost like snow to me. It's almost like you love and appreciate so many things as a kid, and then you get older, and I don't know if it's a comparison thing or if it's a I don't want to hurt my back, or I don't want to hurt my wallet, I don't want to hurt something, or there's more baggage you accumulate as an adult. I don't know where I'm going with all of this, but like I just feel like this hobby is so much different from, like, not just, oh, it's a different hobby from 30 years ago. Yeah, of course it is. There's so much, everything's changed, like technology, grading, like just social media, like everything's changed it. And for some for the better, some, most for the worse. I don't know. But I just feel like I don't know if this is when you add in the social media component to things, if this is a hobby for kids, because there's just so much comparison going on, and there's so much, like, I don't know, if you think about transactions in a binary way or a zero sum game, someone has to lose in order for someone to win, something like that. I don't know. This is like, it's been percolating in my head. It is past midnight. I've been talking for 40 minutes, which is way too long for this time of night. So just to wrap it all up, the ice part I just talked about, I won't wrap that up. The fire part, like, again, collectinsure.com, the phone number, I'll put that all in the show notes. And it is just all the complaining I did about the snow and the ice on the East Coast really does completely pale in comparison to what's going on in LA. And it really does make me appreciate my cards, my collection, my, insurance, life, all that stuff. Like, it just makes me appreciate all that a lot more. But yeah, like, I can't even imagine what's going on over there. Like, just seeing the pictures and images and the video is just, it's unreal. It really is. And then the everything nice part, again, it's just kind of like a light recap, or I don't want to call it resolutions, but goals for this year. I want, of course, not everything's gonna be nice, but I just want to see some nice cards, hang out with some nice people, have some nice experiences. Like, that's what I want 2025 to be. It has started off pretty rough, again, for both coasts of the U.S. And so I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode. I don't know how much I enjoyed recording it. Like, these thoughts have been going through my head this whole week as I've been driven insane by feeling like it's COVID time again. But um, I thank you. I thank you for listening, and I appreciate that I am able to even get out a podcast episode. So I'm gonna try and just release this real quick, and look out for episode 103 coming up soon. I have so much crazy stuff that's gonna happen real soon. Like, I ripped a box of Prism, or two boxes. I split them with a complete stranger on the internet. I have a bunch of people who want to come onto the pod, whether they're dealers or content creators, or there's a lot of people that I've had a running list for such a long time. And so there's going to be some really fun voices. I like doing these monologue episodes just to get some thoughts out of my head. Maybe it'll help me sleep better. I don't know. But it is getting late. So whenever you listen to this, thank you for listening to it. And thank you for all your support. Hope you are safe and warm, or just that you're doing all well wherever you are. And finally, if you're listening from Iceland, hit me up. I will only ship to an Icelandic address. I don't know how the address, I don't know what language I have to put it in or anything like that. I'll figure it out. I'll learn it. I'll just Google it. But I want to send something to someone who's listening from Iceland, or a collector in Iceland. But thank you so much again, and just take care of yourself, take care of the folks around you, and until next time, I will see you then.